Okay, let's unpack this. We often focus on these massive, geopolitical shifts, but sometimes the whole story is summed up by one perfect, almost quirky detail.
Hmm.
And today, that detail involves a 140-year-old Chicago institution, some hops, some yeast, and a whole lot of American dollars heading north.
You have to be talking about the Siebel Institute of Technology.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you're not in the food or beverage industry, you might not know the name. But this is a century-old, globally respected brewing school. It's currently in Chicago, and by 2026, it is relocating its entire operation to Montreal.
I mean, that is the ultimate economic mic drop, right?
Yeah.
A symbol of Midwestern manufacturing expertise deciding the future is actually across the border.
It really is.
But this isn't just, quirky news for the microbrewery scene. It perfectly illustrates a much broader, much more intentional macro phenomenon.
It does. Montreal isn't just benefiting from proximity. It's systematically positioning itself as a strategic, stable, and, well, less administratively burdensome alternative to traditional American business hubs.
Especially for these specialized international outfits and high-tech companies.
Exactly.
So our mission for this deep dive is clear. We're taking the sources you shared, the 2024 economic reports, the project announcements from 2025, and we are going to cut through the anecdotes. We need to understand the precise motivations driving this American influx and, crucially, quantify the impact. We're
Right.
talking billions injected, thousands of high-value jobs, and a complete remapping of the city's economic foundation.
This is a deep dive into not just the why, the stability, the regulatory push factors, but really the how much, using hard data to show you the actual scale of this migration.
Okay, let's start with that Siebel Institute case study, because the reason they gave for leaving Chicago, I think it's the key to understanding the entire trend.
It is.
They pointed directly to complex and restrictive U.S. regulatory policies, particularly for their massive international student base.
And that's a fundamental issue for any educational institution, and it really signals a weakness in the U.S. system that Montreal is directly capitalizing on.
Right.
When a 100-year-old school says, the regulatory burden here is too high to serve our global students, it just highlights Montreal's comparative advantages by default.
So how does that manifest specifically? Are we talking about things like visa issues?
We are. For a lot of international students, navigating the U.S. student visa system and then eventually getting a work permit can be a prohibitive hurdle.
Sure.
Canada just offers a more streamlined, internationally accessible system. Siebel's move is, at its heart, a business decision to ensure continuity for its students. They're just choosing a path with fewer operational constraints.
And that international access has to be a major selling point for any global business looking to expand.
A huge selling point.
Now, it's not just about dodging regulatory red tape, is it? It's also about the positive draw. The sources consistently emphasize that these soft factors, the cultural and social elements, are explicitly driving these decisions.
That's where the analysis gets really interesting. When a company calculates the cost of relocation, they don't just look at taxes and real estate.
They're looking at talent retention.
It's exactly talent retention. Montreal's reputation for its cultural richness, its safety, its vibrant bilingual environment, that's named as a major asset for attracting and keeping the highly specialized global talent these companies need.
So quality of life for, say, a specialized engineer or executive isn't just a bonus, it's a line item. It's a financial necessity in the hiring process.
Yes. Think about the costs of major U.S. tech hubs like San Francisco or New York. Not just the astronomical housing, but the commutes, the urban friction, and for many, a perceived lower quality of life for the cost.
Right.
Montreal offers a compelling alternative. Get that major North American city feel, but with greater stability and a generally lower, though it is, rising cost of living. It makes it easier to convince top global talent to move.
And this inflow isn't happening in a vacuum. I mean, the foundation was already there. If you look at the 2021 census data, tens of thousands of U.S.-born citizens were already living in the Montreal CMA.
Right. That existing community provides a cultural and logistical bridge. The current wave of investment, it's not starting from scratch. It's accelerating an existing relationship.
Okay, let's transition to the numbers then, because this is where the scale of this shift really comes into focus. Montreal International, which tracks all this foreign investment, they publish figures for 2024 that show staggering momentum.
Yeah, the headline figure for 2024 is substantial. We're looking at a total of $2.7 billion injected into the Montreal metro area by foreign investors.
2.7 billion.
Billion. That number alone shows you the global confidence in the region.
But when we talk specifically about American dominance, how much of that is from the U.S.?
The United States is overwhelmingly the primary engine here. The U.S. accounted for 1/3 of that entire $2.7 billion total for 2024.
A third.
And if you look at the first half of the previous year, the U.S. share was even higher. It was 46% of all investments.
Almost half.
This shows not just growth, but a strategic reliance on American capital. When nearly half of your foreign investment is coming from one country, it signals a major flight of capital seeking that comparative advantage we talked about.
And this is ongoing. The sources point to 11 American projects announced in just the first half of 2025 alone. And that represents a value of $802 million.
It's nearly $1 billion funneling in through just a handful of projects this year.
And that flow of cash isn't going into low-value assembly jobs or anything like that. It's translating directly into high-value employment.
It is. In 2024, the total number of jobs created or maintained by this investment was 4,790.
4,790 jobs is great volume, but the quality is what really defines this trend. The average annual salary for those roles was a record figure of $105,439.
That is the figure that defines the success of Montreal's strategy.
It's incredible.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, to put that into perspective for you, the average wage in Quebec generally hovers well below that. It's closer to the mid-$60,000 range.
Right.
So achieving an average salary over $105,000 for these jobs, it just signals the extreme specialization and high value of the employment being generated, almost exclusively in cutting-edge tech.
Yeah, that's a fundamentally different economic foundation being built. And another report cited, I think, 1,866 jobs with an average salary of $101,000. So that completely reinforces this trend.
It does. When a city can consistently attract investments that pay six figures on average, it just elevates the entire regional economy.
So if that's the money, where is it all landing? The data says the artificial intelligence sector is the undisputed spearhead.
By far the largest driver.
Yeah.
By far. Montreal has spent the last decade really establishing itself as a global AI powerhouse, and those efforts are clearly paying off now. The ecosystem, especially around Milo, the Quebec Artificial Intelligence Institute, is a critical mass of talent and research. It's a huge draw.
We saw that with the generative AI leader, Cohere. They opened an office in July 2025, specifically within the Mila ecosystem.
Right. It's about the geographic proximity to the high-end research.
And it's not just the big names, it's also niche applications. In April 2025, we saw 3 specific U.S. AI projects announced all at once.
Yeah, that was interesting. There was Safely You, which uses AI to prevent and detect falls. They're planning to hire up to 50 experts.
Okay.
Then you have AmpliWork, which focuses on AI agents for businesses, and Terso, which is a platform for optimizing supply chain finance.
What's noteworthy there is the diversity within the AI vertical. It's not just academic research. It's AI being applied to highly regulated areas. Health, business ops, complex finance.
Exactly. But while AI is the spearhead, the investment isn't monolithic. We're seeing that traditional American attractiveness in other key areas, like video games.
Oh, yeah. The Hasbro expansion is a great example of that cultural connection. In September 2025, they announced a new video game studio dedicated specifically to the Dungeons & Dragons franchise.
Which is huge. That's leveraging Montreal's massive existing pool of game development talent.
For sure.
And the diversification goes even further, aligning with Quebec's strategic focus on the green economy. We really need to talk about clean tech and sustainable finance.
Let's start with clean tech. GE Vernova made a significant investment in clean energy back in September 2025 in La Prairie on the South Shore.
That's a huge move, and it ties directly into Quebec's core strength, Hydro-Quebec and its vast supply of clean, reliable hydroelectric power.
Right.
For a large industrial player like GE Vernova, the stability and low-carbon footprint of the local grid makes Quebec an ideal location for electrification and clean energy research. It's a major advantage over regions that rely on fossil fuels.
And on the financial side of things, we saw the World Benchmarking Alliance, the WBA, open its office.
Yeah, the WBA, they focus on assessing the environmental and social impact of the world's largest companies. That move underscores Montreal's increasing importance in sustainable finance and what we call ESG initiatives.
Environmental, social, and governance.
Exactly. Global companies need to track and report on ESG, and Montreal is becoming a key center for that expertise. It's a very deliberate push into specialized, future-facing sectors.
Let's circle back to where we started then, with the Siebel Institute. We've covered the billions and the AI hubs, but this single small institution, it highlights a very specialized kind of economic spillover.
It absolutely does. The presence of a globally renowned institution for brewing reinforces Montreal's status, not just as a tech hub, but as an international center for,
No.
well, for niche, high-level applied expertise.
And that directly stimulates the local microbrewery scene, right? The hospitality industry, food science.
It's a very localized boost to an existing cultural strength.
And the physical location matters too. Putting it near the old Molson Brewery site that supports urban revitalization adds heritage value. It's just smart development.
That is the positive local impact. But we do have to address the friction that success inevitably creates. You can't just attract thousands of high-earning professionals and specialized students without putting pressure on the residential market.
So is the influx of these high-wage earners already straining the housing market?
The sources confirm this is an issue. I mean, the Siebel students themselves might not distort the entire market, but the constant influx of highly paid professionals, those earning that $105,000 average salary, that exerts real pressure.
Especially on high-end rentals and short or medium-term housing.
Exactly. The very factor that attracts the companies, Montreal's livability and relative affordability, that starts to erode when too many high-earning people chase the same limited housing stock.
That's the classic challenge, isn't it? Balancing growth with quality of life. The friction of success, as you called it. But linking back to the salaries, that $105,000 average, that figure confirms the city's strategy is succeeding in attracting highly specialized talent, not just volume of companies.
It is the ultimate confirmation. The strategy of building these deep, specialized, high-knowledge ecosystems is paying off with jobs that redefine the local wage structure.
It really seems like Montreal is selling expertise and stability, and the U.S. market is just buying in bulk.
That's a good way to put it.
So, to synthesize this deep dive, the story of American investment flooding into Montreal is, well, it's far more complex than a general economic bump. It is the calculated establishment of these high-value specialized ecosystems,
From AI and Dungeons and Dragons studios to advanced brewing expertise, yeah.
all driven by companies that are seeking stability and specialized talent.
And this movement is explicitly fueled by companies looking for environments with fewer regulatory constraints than what they face in the U.S., while leveraging those powerful economic soft factors: the safety, the culture, the quality of life. These are now crucial economic assets.
We've seen billions flowing in, record high salaries being offered. This success brings up one final critical question for you to mull over as you process all this. What happens when a city's reputation for cultural vibrancy and safety, a core factor in attracting this $2.7 billion in investment, starts facing immense pressure from the very market demands, like housing costs, that a successful wave of investment inevitably creates?
The challenge for Montreal now is ensuring that the characteristics that made it so attractive in the first place are not consumed by the very growth that they generated.
Something to contemplate as you consider those specialized six-figure job openings.